Hello everybody, my name is Peg Lorraine. It's a special privilege for us to bring this night to you every year. This is Candidates Night 2025. The candidates who are running are all here and they have been given the order of events and the way this is going to go. We do always notify the community that Candidates Night is going to happen, and we always avail them the opportunity to send us questions for the Q&A section of our evening. So I want to say a special thank you to the people who did send us questions. For a lot of years we scurried around and tried to make up our own because we couldn't get any interest out of you, but this has been enormously helpful. We have a bunch of questions and we're going to go through some of them tonight. First of all, we have candidates for the school committee, for the Board of Health, and for the Select Board here tonight. We're going to begin with Jacob Hulsberg, who is running for the school committee, running unopposed, but he's going to make a statement so you all know a little bit more about him before you come to vote. Jacob, do you mind? Come right up.
Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. Thank you for coming.
Just go?
Go right ahead.
Alrighty. Hi, my name's Jake Holsberg and I'm running for school committee. I've lived in Belchertown for 8 years and I'm a dad with 2 kids in the public schools. I've worked in education for 17 years as a teacher and an administrator. I've led school teams through some of the toughest challenges that our schools have faced in the last few decades. If elected, I plan to focus on 3 critical areas to strengthen our schools. First, social emotional well-being. We ask kids, what are you going to do when you grow up? Way too often. We should really be asking if they're happy, because too many of our kids, they aren't. Their mental health needs to be our top priority, because you can't learn when you're anxious or you're depressed or you don't feel safe. The world has changed and we need to meet them where they are. Second, early intervention. We can't afford to wait until problems get big. It's easier, it's cheaper, and it's more effective to solve them early. I've done a lot of work with various data sets that schools rely on to make decisions about how to help kids, whether it's attendance or test scores or how many times they've asked to see their guidance counselor. And too often that information is scattered across a bunch of disconnected systems. Without good systems that connect these dots, early warning signs get missed, and it's critical that our schools have good systems that make those connections and flag small gaps before they become big ones. We also need to make sure that our kids, as they move from building to building, all that information we know about them goes with them. Lastly, bullying. Every day I work to protect students who are teased, harassed, or worse. And it affects our most vulnerable kids the most. I've seen firsthand how just one trusted adult can make the difference so that that student knows someone in that school has their back. We need policies when it comes to bullying that are clear, consequences that are firm and fair, protections that ensure that victims feel safe, but also so that when students make mistakes, they have a chance to fix it. But here's the hard truth. None of these goals are going to be possible without level funding our schools. Right now, we spend $4,000 less than students in neighboring towns, and our schools are facing a $1.6 million deficit. That's only going to make things worse. Without action, we're going to lose 30 staff members, cut the arts, music, foreign language, and close Cold Spring. Which is why I support the Prop 2.5 override. We need to give our schools a fighting chance to prepare our kids for the future.
30 seconds.
In closing, I will work to ensure that our school committee and select board work together to craft a 5-year plan with our students and our residents' best interest in mind, making sure that our hard-earned tax dollars get used wisely. As a dad, as an educator, and a neighbor who cares deeply about this town, I'm asking for your vote, because together we can keep Belchertown schools strong and make sure the next generation has the same opportunities that we did. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we move on, we'll be going on to the Board of Health, but before we do that, I want to remind everyone that early in-person voting takes place starting on May 7th here in Town Hall. On the 7th, the hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. On the 12th and 13th, the hours are also 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. On the 14th, early in-person voting hours are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., which hopefully gives everyone who wants to vote that way the opportunity to do it. Actual voting takes place at the Belchertown High School gym on the 19th of this month. That will be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We urge you all to come out and vote. So moving on, we are going to talk with or hear from the candidates for the Board of Health, Gail Grammarosa and Jim Potter. Would you join me, please?
The little one? Take the big one? Okay. We're trying to figure out. We have chairs that are different sizes, huh?
See if your heads are in the same place when you sit down. Thank you both for joining us. We're going to start just in alphabetical order. Gail will speak first. Gail's running for a seat which is being vacated on the Board of Health. Jim is running as an incumbent, but we'll start with Gail and then we'll move to Jim. So Gail, please go ahead.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, BCTV, for doing this again. I'm Gail Grammarosa. I've been here in town almost 30 years, which kind of amazes me sometimes. I'm running for the Board of Health for a couple of reasons. A number of people asked me to consider it, particularly when one of the incumbents decided they would not run for re-election. And I think they asked me because I have done it before. I served on the Board of Health for many years, first running in the late 90s and then stepping off the board in 2016. So I think a total of 18 years. Why did I do that and why am I doing it now? I have worked in the field of public health. I just retired last year. I'm considering myself semi-retired at this point. I worked in the field of public health for 40 years. Very happy and proud that I did that, as well as happy that I found that career as early as I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So with that experience, both as working directly in public health in the local area, I was born and raised in Springfield, moved to Belchertown, like I said, decades ago, have worked in Boston, have worked in a variety of different issues. So I think what I can bring maybe back to the Board of Health, and obviously things change all the time in public health. So I'll have some learning to do and catching up to do. But I think what I'll bring to potentially to the Board of Health, I've worked in the areas of HIV, AIDS, harm reduction, substance use, mental health, cancer prevention. My most recent job was managing a number of different grants, working for the town of Ware before I retired. Worked in infectious disease, worked in elder health, college age people's health, you name it. I did all kinds of things in that field. And I'd be happy and honored to serve again, and hopefully again bring whatever knowledge I might have, my background, my credentials, my work. And from what I've seen, we are still very fortunate to be part of the Quabbin Health District. You might know Belchertown, Ware, and Pelham have been part of that three-town district for quite some time. And it's been a model program. Other places have looked to it. So I would welcome your vote, and I'd be honored and happy to serve again on the board.
Mr. Potter, you're up.
All right, thank you. My name's Jim Potter. I'm running for my third consecutive year on the Board of Health. I've been in town since 1987. I've worked over 30 years in residential commercial construction, dealing with septics, wells, wetlands, that type of stuff. Again, I'll make it short and sweet. I'm not, you won't see my name on the ballot. Mistake by my end. I didn't get my nomination papers in time. So I'm going to be a write-in candidate, but I'd love to have you guys support me again. I'd love to keep doing this continuously. 2 years was great. A few more would be even better. I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
He is Jim Potter, but I think you have to write in James.
James.
Yes.
Sorry.
All right, I thank you both very much. While Gail and Jim get reseated and my select board candidates come up, I will mention that town meeting is happening on the 31st of May at 8:30 a.m. It will be at the high school in the gymnasium. 8:30 a.m. for the special town meeting, 9 a.m. for the annual. We will also do our regular annual show, the warrant articles, leading up to town meeting. But the time and date for that is yet to be determined. Thank you. All right, next we're going to be talking to and hearing from the candidates for the select board. There are two positions open on the select board. Ms. Turner is an incumbent running for re-election. Mr. Ritter is a current member of our finance committee and running to be on the board. Ms. Bell is the co-chair of Belchertown Overcoming Adversity Together, the BOAT committee about which you hear pretty frequently. also running for a seat on the select board. So I welcome you all. How we're going to manage this is we're going to kind of go in alphabetical order. So beginning with your opening statements, we'll start with Angela, move to John, and then move on to Jen. And then I have to start doing this skipping rope thing where we start with John, go with Jen, then with Angela, then with Jen, and I have it all written down. So I hope I have it right. If anybody gets skipped over or missed, just let me know. All right, so we will start with your opening statements. Ms. Battle, you are up.
Okay. Hi, my name is Angela Battle. I moved up here from Boston about 18 years ago, and I've lived in different parts of Belchertown since, and I have just absolutely fallen in love with this community. So this is the first place that has felt like home, where I could see that I wanted to put down roots and have a future and invest my time and my attention and my energy, into the town and into the people. And so I got the opportunity to do that for the first time 3 years ago when I started a Girl Scout troop here. And we now have a very active troop of 12 girls who do a lot to give back to this community. And it's been amazing being able to teach them leadership skills and, confidence and things like that. I was asked last year to be the co-chair of BOAT. I am in recovery. I got sober in February of 2004, and so that has been something that has shaped my life and who I am and why I feel that service to others and service to my town is crucial for somebody like me to feel whole and have everything have a deeper meaning for me. Everything in my life falls into place when I'm looking to see where I can bring something to the people in front of me. And so, when Chris Hogue asked me to be the co-chair of BOAT, knowing what that organization has been doing in town, that was a really exciting thing for me. So that is something I'm excited to take a deeper role into, and get my hands a little bit dirtier in that stuff too. And one of the most recent things that I've been able to do is I am a community liaison for the MVP 2.0 program in Belchertown, and we actually just decided on our seed project for Belchertown, which is to bring a housing trust here, which will bring up to $3 million a year in grant money to bolster our community resilience, which is going to have a tremendous effect on a lot of the people, a lot of the vulnerable populations in this town. So I think that's it. I'm really excited for this opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Ritter?
First, thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thanks, Peg, Lou, BCTV for putting this on. My name is Jonathan Ritter. I grew up in this town. My family goes back multiple generations. I'm what they call a townie, if that makes sense. I'm now married to a wonderful wife, sitting in the back, with two children in Belchertown Public Schools, a 4th grader and a 7th grader. We have 2 dogs also. I'm a retired Air Force veteran. I was a flight medic with an air medical evacuation unit. I served 3 tours of duty. Since this time, I'm a stay-at-home father. I've always had a passion for our town and have been active within our community. I started my younger years as a junior volunteer firefighter, transferring to a volunteer firefighter. Myself and my family can be seen at the annual Belchertown Fair helping out, usually in the pulling ring or at the famous hay bale toss. If you have never attended that, I recommend it. I've held a role in the finance committee for the past 4 years now. And finally, you can usually see me at Mini Fenway, Hodgin Field, Foley Field, helping with the local Little League nonprofit in Belchertown for the past 5 years. I just like to get back to our community where I can and when I can. Some of my goals if elected. First, we need to make it a priority to take care of our local businesses. One of those ways is by attracting people to our town, generating more people flow. One way to do that I'm most familiar with is to utilize our sports field. We need to put some time and energy into making our fields more attractive for clubs, towns, to want to come here to do playoffs, tournaments, sporting events. This brings people in that usually result in more revenue for our local businesses. Field space could also be creatively used for arts or music fairs or festivals as well. These businesses are vital to Belchertown. We support our youth programs, our sports, our music programs. I would love to work with the Cultural Council and hear how we can collaborate and how we can aid in those events as well. Second, we need to be more transparent about all the budgets and be physically responsible. I believe we need to hold quarterly tri-board meetings so we can see where the town is and the budgets are at real time. The meeting dates need to be locked in the annual select board meeting agenda. This will help us understand the community needs all around. This is both school and town. Both the town and school need a 5-year plan. This needs to be a working group consisting of the select board members, school committee members, finance committee members, town manager, superintendent, and a diverse group of residents throughout our town. The working groups needs to address some of the hard decisions, such as building closures, office space efficiencies.
30 seconds.
With clear goals and timeframes, the community will be flexible with some short-term losses and long-term gains. We need to figure out how to gain revenue. Some of that is the use of state school land that has been underfunded, underutilized since 1987, and we formed the EDIC. So, one other thing I want to talk about is let's partner with Pathfinder Regional. It costs us over $460,000 a year to send our kids to Smith Vogue. Let's partner with Lansing Brook Farm and Pathfinder, and maybe we can work a collaborative agreement between ag mechanics or animal science
3 minutes.
and work that in. I have a lot more ideas. I'm excited to investigate them as well.
I'm sorry, Mr. Whitaker.
You have enough
I'm
time.
sorry, your time is up.
Sorry.
You'll have time to, when you're answering
So
questions. I know it's hard to get it. It seems like a long time, but it's not as much as we hope. Ms. Turner, you.
Hi, I'm Jen Turner. 21 years ago, my husband and I moved to Belchertown to raise our family, which now includes our 2 children, dog, and 2 cats. Professionally, I used my MBA from UMass Amherst to help small businesses, and I first became involved with town government in 2014 when I joined the Cultural Council. Then in 2019, I was elected to the Board of Selectmen, now Select Board. Having served 2 terms on the board has provided me with valuable insight into the operations of our town and how it positions itself within our greater region. My platform has and continues to be focused on economic development for all people and families in Belchertown, including those who have been here for generations and those now just moving into town. We need leadership that values and creates opportunities for everyone. During my 2 terms, we have updated sections of the town master plan, starting with our economic development section, added a new HR director, communications director, grants manager, and now a cultural district manager. Advocated for art and culture in town by collaborating and building partnerships with multiple groups, including town departments, and advocated for the engagement of free audits by the State Division of Local Services to identify efficiencies and streamline operations for town employees. We have made many strides over the past year towards our economic development goals. Using our unique assets, we have engaged in a branding initiative to help get the Belchertown name out to the greater region and highlight what already exists instead of relying on building new. The Lake Wallace Sensory Trail, due to be completed this summer, is one small example of one of our hidden gems within our community. Located within our designated cultural district, this trail has attracted users from all over the valley, created a place for birders, nature education, visibility for our skate park, and an ideal trail for walkers, with dogs and without. Looking ahead, we are in the middle of closing out some grant-funded initiatives that were based on our economic development strategic plans. I'm eager to continue this work on behalf of the community and make sure that the foundation for this work is solidly in place, including a process for grant management, communications with the town residents, and increased visibility at the state level and within our region to include and engage our community partners for the benefit of our residents to ensure resources are available for essential services. I have immense passion for our community, and I demonstrate that at every event I attend or with every person I speak to.
30 seconds.
I humbly ask for your continued support and trust for this new term.
Right, those are the opening statements from our 3 candidates. We have gone a little off tradition tonight because we're going to decide that our opening question will be the position of the candidates on the upcoming Proposition 2.5 vote, only because it seems to be pretty much taking up everyone's attention right now. So rather than draw a random question, we're gonna ask that question first. Because I'm running through these odd orders, we're starting with this question with Mr. Ritter, followed by Ms. Turner, and then followed by Ms. Battle. So John, your position on the potential Proposition 2.5 override, please.
Let me first say that I will support whichever decision is made May 19th or May 31st. I'm prepared to fully support the majority vote and execute the needs of the town. I want this community to come together and make Belchertown the best place to live, as it always has been since I've grown up here. I need the community to know that I've been in every in-person town meeting possible, actively listening to all the override talks. I've spent many hours discussing the override with many residents in support as well as those opposed it. I've taken time to meet several times with the school superintendent, the town manager, to discuss all the options and impacts. And ultimately, this is a complex situation with no right answer. It's been 32 years since the last override. We've been behind in revenue with 3 years of record inflation. The prop override does come with an expense that some can afford and others may not. The override will enable the schools to keep positions to develop a better plan forward. It allows the town to fill needed positions, and they have been able to in years past. While the override has its positive, it does have its consequences as well. Consequences you may not see yet until a few years. It is imperative that everyone takes the time to educate themselves on the possibility of the override and provide the potential impacts, and educate yourself on all the facts. While the prop override is not my first choice, and I do not like it, it is the only option at this time if we want to continue with the same services we currently have in Belchertown. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Turner, your position on the upcoming potential Proposition 2.5 override, please.
Yes. Belchertown, although unique in many ways, is not alone in our financial struggles. Budget shortfalls are hitting most municipalities across the Commonwealth, including our surrounding communities. We are all facing financial instability. Our town has long suffered in silence about the challenges with our lack of revenues, and it has impacted our ability to right-size our growing needs for services within our community and for its residents. So I just want to say that we have these gaps that were identified when I first started on the board, and these gaps were being ill-addressed, ignored, or filled in by volunteer boards. We have a strong volunteer culture here in Belchertown, but having staff for these positions is going to be key moving forward to have full operations that are efficient. So for an example of that is our fire department that got a grant for 6 firefighters for a total of 3 years. This is a direct result from the lack of adequate revenues from state aid and our own property taxes. Due to our median income levels, there are many needs that don't qualify for grants, since Belchertown is considered an affluent community. We also cannot ignore the current federal climate. On the national level, we see department after department closing and pulling funding for grants, funding that many were relying on for future planning, programming, and departmental function. The future for grant funding is uncertain, and the potential impact cannot be ignored. So, I'm in support of the override. I'm just going to skip over all this other stuff. It may not seem to be the right time, but I fully support the passing of this override. This is our opportunity to invest back into our community, and if we think of it as we are the shareholders for the business of Belchertown, it's now the time to invest. So I'm voting yes. Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Val.
So this is something that I too have spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people about, and it's hard because I've been on both sides. I've been, I know what it's like to look at your bills and to know that if something happens, you may not be okay, and to have that fear. I've had people in my life that have had to live with those same sort of fears. And so for me, when I look at this override, it's not just about, is this a clear yes or no answer? I mean, but it is in a way, because if we're going to protect the people of this town, we need to keep Belchertown as strong as we possibly can. And in order to do that, we need to have, buildings that are not falling down. We need to have roads that work so that people want to come here and live here and work here and bring new businesses into town. We have a very big aging population here. We need to make sure that they are protected. We have a lot of vulnerable populations in Belchertown that need to be protected, and so if we invest in this override right now, what we're saying is, yes, we are all in, because we know that in a few years, what that's going to look like is everybody is going to be in a much better position. Their property values are not going to go down. Their taxes are not going to go up, because we're going to be able to bring in new economic development.
30 seconds.
Oh,
sorry.
seconds. And one thing that I know about Belchertown, about a lot of towns, but especially about Belchertown, is when people in this town are in need, this town does come together. And so I do feel like if people end up in financial situations that they are struggling in, that this town will come together and we will find a way to help them through it.
Okay, all right, so that settles the question of the first question. We're gonna do up to 30 minutes, and Lou is timing us as well as Sean. So we'll do between 2 and 3 or 4 more questions, all right? The next order of business is Ms. Turner is first, Ms. Battle is second, and Mr. Ritter is third. So this question's a little bit long, so I'd be happy to read it again for each of you as your turn comes up. The Select Board has invested quite a bit of time and money into economic development and has rolled grant-funded ARPA positions into the overall operating budget. With 85% of the town's budget coming from property taxes and state aid, only a small portion of the remaining 15% is revenue the town can grow through these efforts. How much revenue do you think can be realized from these efforts, and can you comment on what kind of return on investment the town can expect to receive from these added economic development positions? I think you're up first, Jen.
Sure.
So take that. This is an area of yours, though.
It is an area of mine. Thank you. There's no way to quantify the work that we're doing with economic development. First, it needs to pay off, which means that we need to have a substantial amount of dollars that are invested into our community. One of the struggles that has been identified is that we don't want our community does not want big box stores. Like, we don't want a Target or a Walmart to come and locate on our lands, right? So what does that mean? We're looking for small entrepreneurial type businesses, but the problem is we don't have any place for small entrepreneurial businesses to go. So our strategy needs to be directed at how can we attract those bigger developers to come in and build infrastructure. And we have the land and the available developable land that is ready and willing to be developed on, right? So we have the state school property. The EDIC has been working many, many years to get something going over there. It's a giant fee for folks at home. So it's a little distracting. So how are these positions going to help us, and how are the initiatives that we're doing that are involved with economic development going to help us? They're going to help make that attractiveness of Belchertown. People don't understand the uniqueness geographic-wise of where we live and how it could be developed. People see it as a pass-through bedroom community, and there's a lot of ways to pivot that perception, and that is what the initiatives, that is what those grant-funded positions are going to help us do.
All right, let's see. Jim was first, so Ms. Ballard, do you need me to read this again?
Yes.
It's kind of a long one. The Select Board has invested quite a bit of time and money into economic development and has rolled grant-funded ARPA positions into the overall operating budget. With 85% of the town's budget coming from property taxes and state aid, only a small portion of the remaining 15% is revenue the town can grow through these efforts. How much revenue do you think can be realized from these efforts, and can you comment on what kind of return on investment the town can expect to receive from these added economic development positions?
This is honestly, if I was on the select board, this is something that I would turn to Jen and say, what can we do about this? You know, that's a question that would definitely be in Jen's territory. But I think that we are in a unique position right now where, with everything that's going on federally and just day to day, not knowing what's going to happen, Belchertown has this opportunity to be a leader, you know, as we move forward. And if we can come up with a solid economic plan, you know, which Jen and the board have had many of, then we can be a leader in this space because we have a very creative community. And what we are be able to come up with, I think we'll be able to, I'm not quite sure how to say this, we're going to be able to reach out to different towns around us so that we can all work together to rebuild the way that we need to rebuild as a small town.
Okay, thank you. Do I want to read?
I think I got some of this.
Okay.
So some of the, in my understanding, like the grant writer position, and I think that's maybe what this question is asking is, hopefully this position pays for itself over the years. I don't think we're going to see a return of the position right away. There's no way to put in the dollar figure, like Jen said, but we hope that that position will bring in the dollar figure to pay for itself through different grants. And that's the priority of that grant writing position. The communication director, another ARPA funded position, we hope that we can get the message out in the town, like the town's chronics and Jen's stuff, worked on that stuff. Again, we go back to my idea of the 5-year plan and developing the state school and hope that we can get some more revenue coming to this town. So like Westfield, the sports complex, such as Roots. It's such a great location for that. We need to really look into that and get that stuff moving. It brings in jobs, it brings in revenue. And that's all stuff that we need to start acting on. Kind of touching on that. Thank you.
All right. That's questions number 1 and 2. Next up. Gosh, you people write long questions. All right, let's see. The rotation is Ms. Battle, Mr. Ritter, Ms. Turner. How will you increase town revenue? Are we doing enough to attract and support businesses? House development, housing development, probably an increased population will lower our tax burden, correct? How do we continue to attract new families? Wouldn't lower, this is a lot, dealing with credit, wouldn't lower academic ranking in opposition to town growth and public education impede this effort? Can you roll all that together, sort of, Angela? Or do you need me to read it one more time?
Can you read it one more time,
All right.
please?
How will you increase town revenue? Are we doing enough to attract and support businesses? Housing development and increased population will lower our tax burden, correct? How do we continue to attract new families? Wouldn't lower academic ranking and opposition to town growth and public education impede this effort? I'm going to slide this down to you, okay? You only have 2 minutes, but you can take a peek at it while you try to answer it.
Okay. I'm not even, I'm going to be honest, not sure how to answer this question because so much of this is going to depend on whether this override passes. If this override doesn't pass, there are going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to focus on first and foremost to make sure that everybody in the town is safe and protected. And then from there, I know that our town manager has, a great plan to attract new businesses, and he is working with the edict to forge a stronger plan going forward. And so it's kind of a wait and see. I don't really know how to answer that question, but I think that the select board, as long as they have, they continue to have a good working relationship with our town manager and support his efforts, I think we're heading in a really good direction.
Okay. Mr. Ritter,
Some of this was in my opening statement and my goals. We got to take care of the local businesses in town. We've done a horrible job with that. Trying to we get the businesses in, we don't keep them. That's how we have to give back to them. By redoing our sports field, that attracts people into this town, attracts young families. Also, we have to address the affordable housing with seniors and veterans. Some of that I've been an advocate for the HEROES Act for Belchertown and fully implementing that into the town. That'll attract more veterans and seniors in a sense to our town to help afford this stuff in this town. Other avenues is like the YMCA or Boys and Girls Club that I know Jen's worked on. I've brought it up a few times. We talked about this too. Is bring that into town. It creates jobs, it creates revenue, it creates childcare issues for our town. It helps us out. Indoor sporting facilities like that makes it more attractive for our town and bringing the revenue, as well as a place like Roots and State School. And I brought that up before. Thank you.
Okay, Jen, do you need me to read it again?
No.
I think you're good. Okay, then you go.
So, are we doing enough to attract businesses? That is a good question, and I also alluded to it earlier, where we don't have infrastructure to put businesses. So our strategy needs to shift in line with the types of businesses that we want to attract and how we're going to attract them. We also need more low-income housing. That will help in many, many different ways. It will attract people who will work in jobs, because one of the main problems that we have is that most of the residential homes that we have here in town are single family houses and people are leaving to go to jobs. So we don't have any of that pool of people who want to work and stay in town to work. So that's part of the puzzle here to figure out. So all of these pieces need to come together and work together to build a strong foundation for our community moving forward. So that's why some of the economic development and some of these initiatives will help draw in tourism dollars. So if we can look at tourism as a way to attract and to have businesses that are going to service our recreational tourism in town, that will sort of also help strengthen the foundation of all of that and help increase our tax revenue.
Alrighty, I'm gonna look for a little piece of paper because I keep reading entire chapters to all of you. Okay, so in this rotation, Mr. Ritter will be answering first. Oh, here's a nice short one. Oh dear, well, we may have already addressed it, so I'll see what your opinion is. What is your plan to bolster the local culture and tourism economy? Do the three of you feel like that's already being addressed and we should move on, or do you want to have a shot at this? We have about 5 seconds. New question. Okay. This one's way low. Look at this.
Can you read that?
I can, but it's a good thing it's sort of readable. What is your view of the select board's role in the oversight, I think this is probably meant to be, of the school budget? Okay, Mr. Ritter.
That's a good question. The select board doesn't have any oversight of the school budget. They can oversee it and they can ask questions, but the school committee and the superintendent have all the oversight of the school budget. The select board has no influence on it, so we can't say how to spend your money, where the dollars go. That's all up to the school committee and the superintendent. That's all I got. Thank you.
Do you have anything to add to that, Tim?
I mean, John is right. I think the best way that we can influence or work together is by bringing in more of the tri-board conversation so that we can help strengthen and figure out our pie and the slices that are within that pie to help, make sure that the schools are adequately funding.
Ms. Ballard, do you want to add?
Sure. Even though the select board doesn't have any oversight over the budget, the select board does have a responsibility to the community members of this town to make sure that they are looking at the budget and making sure that things line up a certain way so that it is the most effective budget that can be brought, and asking questions, if need be.
Okay. Next up, I really am trying not to find those huge ones. Alrighty, let's see. In this rotation, Ms. Turner is first, I believe, and then Ms. Battle, and then Mr. Ritter. What is your plan to make Belchertown more attractive to businesses, to fill the many vacant storefronts and boost local dollars spent? Once again,
I feel like we've answered that.
I feel like we've been there already, so I'm sorry, Mr. Lorraine.
This is a hotbed
I'm going to move on.
apparently.
Our 5-question limit is, we just blew it out of the water. We don't care. Nope, same thing again.
Wow.
It's nice you're all thinking about the same thing, so these are obviously good questions to have been addressed. Okay, this is an interesting one. We're starting with Jen this time. What policies or thoughts have you had in the past that when you learned more about an issue, your opinion changed?
That is a good question. Can I just write it down? Hold on.
Yes, what policies here? Here.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. And we'll slide it down to the bell when you're done.
Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, when I first started on this board, you come in and you have lots of ideas and lots of, and we're going to change the world. And then you realize how slow government actually works, and how it's not, you have to operate within the role of, procurement, for example, and that you need a study to do the constructions. You can't just snap your finger and be like, I want to, do a repair on this one building. You need a feasibility study, and then you need a design plan, and then you need a construction loan. Like it's not as easy. So I think that's one of the things that I have learned about being on this board, and thoughts about, being and serving in municipal government, coming from private industry and taking my background from that. So.
Okay, that goes down to Angela next. Let me just say, all of these people serve on boards currently, so in theory, you've all had this experience.
It's a very It's like a
We have a
bird.
giant bug in the room in case you at home can't see it flying around.
The dog's
Because we have
on
the
me
windows
earlier.
open, because it's warm in here, we have a visitor. All right, Angela, are you ready to go?
I'm struggling to think of an exact issue here. But, in my experience, just in life in general, one of the best lessons I've ever been taught was, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? And so that's pretty much my thought process when I'm learning about something new or people have conflicting ideas of me. I'm always open-minded because I want to learn more. I don't want my idea to be the final one. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to, whenever I am in something, I'm in it for the benefit of everybody involved. And so that's just how I approach things. I wish I could come up with something specific.
That's all right, Mr. Ritter.
So and this comes to mind, it comes back to the budget cycle. We implemented the free cash policy. That was an open mind to me in a sense. We used to take all the free cash money and put it into the budget. So more than the other avenue was, let's take all the free cash money out and put it aside. So we can put a plan to, in a sense, to distribute the free cash policy correctly and break it down over years instead of all at once. Another open-minded thing that comes to myself with policy is the DLS report. That was an eye-opening. The DLS report. If you haven't seen, there's a new one out too, so I'd urge all the town residents to look at that and read it. It gives you an eye-opening of everything. It changes your own perspective of the town and how the direction the town's going. So that would be my example.
I'm just going to ask real quick if you will say what DLS, or one of you will say what DLS stands for, and how would a townsperson get to look at that?
Department of Local Services. It's on Massachusetts government website.
Mass.gov, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. I know there was a report to the town a number of years ago, and I know it's referred to constantly, but I don't know if anyone ever says what it is and what it would mean to a resident. All right, we're going to do one more, and then we'll let Mr. Lorraine decide if the evening has come to a natural end. All right, let's see. In this rotation, I'm totally confused, so we're going to start with Angela. Business owners that are not residents of Belchertown have no say in the taxation process, yet renters do. Are you all property owners? How will you separate how this override will affect you personally and how it will affect the town as a whole? Is that okay? You want me to do it one more time?
No, I think I got that. I am currently a renter, and
I know, big bug.
And this actually came up when I had first announced my candidacy. I had people on Facebook who were asking me, if I was a homeowner here, and I said not yet. And she said, well, then how do you think that you could possibly make decisions based on, when it doesn't affect you personally? And while not being a homeowner yet in Belchertown, certain things like property tax hikes don't affect me in that way. As a renter, I am affected by that. My rent was just increased by $1,200 a year just to do with inflation. If the override passes and my landlord's rent goes up, that will most likely translate down to me again. But beyond that, I don't need to experience something personally to be able to try to make the best decisions that are going to affect the largest group possible in the best way possible. That's the whole point of being in public service. In a role like this is to be able to help the most people in the best, most effective way possible, right? And so there are a lot of people that I know and that I love that, some are single parents, some are, have two jobs, some are, living paycheck to paycheck, they're homeowners, and
30 seconds.
This override will absolutely affect them. So I know enough people, I'm invested in enough people and in this town to be able to make decisions, even though I'm not a homeowner just yet, and this override could price me out for a little bit longer as well. So it all affects everybody.
Okay, Mr. Ritter.
I am a homeowner in this town. I do pay property taxes. had a home since 2012, just if anyone knows or cares. Yes, so I've been paying property taxes for a long time. I guess I make decisions always based off of the community as a whole. Same thing, I go back to my military career and stuff. It's never about me. It's not about me or my family. It's about the whole community. That's what I feel this position is about. What's best for our community? And that's what I intend to do. What's best for Belchertown as a whole. And that's all we can do.
And Ms. Turner?
I also am a homeowner, but yeah, I do everything for the town. Everything I do is in what I feel is the best interest, to put forth a vision that I feel like is strong, to help with our economic development, to help with our town operations, our efficiencies here. Just highlight the place that I have made my home. So everything I do is made with all of the constituents and all of the different factors and the demographics, which are quite different. Different needs.
All right. Ms. Lorraine, how are we time-wise?
You're done.
We're done. All right. Let me, first of all, thank all of you who are running for anything. It's an enormous compliment to the residents of the town that you are willing to serve on their behalf. So we're very grateful for that. I'll remind everyone that the election is the 19th of May, taking place at the high school, Belchertown High School Gymnasium, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Alternatively, you can come for early in-person voting the 7th from 9 to 4, the 12th and 13th from 9 to 4, and the 14th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So please avail yourself of that if that works better than coming to the polls in
2
person.
minute summations, Peg.
Sorry, see, we're not done.
No, you have 2 minute summations.
So we're going to start, and now how do we start? We're going to go now, John, Jen, and Ange, okay, for your closing statements, okay? So we'll start with Mr. Ritter.
Sure, I'm gonna make it quick, hopefully. I want to thank everyone for your time tonight. I appreciate you all getting to know me a little better in this short period of time tonight. In the last month, to meet you all face to face, had conversations with me through social media or in person through coffee talks at Pine Valley Plantation. With all the vision in our country and our town, I believe it is important now more than ever that we meet people who determine them unbiased, on gossip. I encourage everyone to reach out to me with any further questions as we move forward. I feel the meeting face to face is often better and more perspective. Hope you consider me voting for me on May 19th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
So I will amend my earlier statement. I don't work on behalf of these giant bees that are flying around the room.
Not a resident.
They're huge. Again, this running for a third term, I'm really doing it because I really believe in the work that I have literally in the middle of, and I want to see that work be finished through. I've loved serving this community and this town. There are so many things that are just amazing about it. The people are amazing. The geography is amazing. Everything is amazing. So I just want to say that. Thank you again, BCTV. Thank you for the residents. Thank you for all the support over all of the years, no matter how you vote. And I appreciate everyone. So,
Ms. Val?
Thank you, Peg and Lou, for doing this tonight. It's not the easiest thing to be sitting up here, and honestly, had Lou told me before I announced my nomination that I was going to have to do this, I may not have been here.
Come on, we haven't did that yet.
But the tricky thing about these positions is that there's not typically a whole long line of people lining up to do these jobs. And so I think that we're actually really lucky here in Belchertown, because listening to these two tonight, I know that we do have some really good candidates for the select board. And I feel like no matter what happens going forward, we are in good hands. And I, myself, I come in with a very, very, very long history of coming up with creative ideas and solutions to be able to bring people together, especially. And that is one thing that I'm really looking forward to doing, in this role or in any that I get to do in this town. So I appreciate all the conversations, everybody who has, volunteered their time and met with me, all the town employees who have spent hours and hours and hours with me through this process. It's been amazing just getting to know and connect with more people in Belchertown, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of that in whatever role I get to.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Jim. Gail's gone on home for the night, I guess. And thank you to everybody who attended tonight. Over great.
You wanted to make an
What
appearance.
about Mr. Bumble?
It's going on camera, I guess. All right, so we do Candidates Night every year. We're always kind of blown away by the willingness of people to serve the community, and it's a pleasure to have talked to all of you tonight, and to you, Jim and Gail and Mr. Hellsberg as well. So I hope everyone, this will be rebroadcast, I assume, a number of times, and I'm not sure how you find out about that. Go to the Belchertown Community Television website. Am I right? Okay. And then you can look for Candidates Night for 2025. It might be a couple of days before this is up and going, right? All right. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, audience. We're very grateful to have people in the room to listen to all this. Thank you, Sean Lindholm, who is our timekeeper, Mr. Lorraine on console, Ms. Glovacki on camera, and all of our candidates for everything. We think you're all terrific.
And Miss Lorraine.
Oh, amazing.